May I now invite on the dais Lieutenant General Dr. Rajesh Pant, retired, National Cybersecurity Coordinator, to please say a few words.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, my compliments to Mr. Pradeep Gupta and his team in Cyber Media and Data Quest for organizing this very interesting event. I am feeling that I'm in the company of the stalwarts of the Indian IT industry. It's a great feeling. You guys have actually really brought India up to where the world is looking at us. I just landed about half an hour back from Bangalore, and there was a conference there on cyber security in space. So I thought, let me just share with you that change is the only constant, and today people are talking of aspects that we could never have imagined earlier. And why space has become so important is because last year on 24th February, when the war in Eastern Europe started, the first attack, if I may say so, was on the Viasat systems. There was a satellite called KA-SAT, which was jammed and made inoperational, and it affected not only Ukraine, but some other European nations also. So people have realized the importance of space. Today, there are about 7,800 active satellites orbiting in the low Earth orbit, medium geostationary and polar orbits. And they control everything from ATMs to cars and communications and navigation and position location, Earth observation, and of course some military aspects of surveillance. So suddenly this aspect of space has become important, and this is where, as we were just talking, that the future of telecom will involve new aspects as we go along. Professor Ranjan Bose mentioned about the academia and the industry view. I would like to add on the government and the industry view. Industry view has been brought out very well by Mr. Gupta. As far as the government is concerned, in the telecom sector, you would recall that from 15 June 2021, we implemented what is called as the National Security Directive on the telecom sector, which stipulates that any equipment, now this is where it gets interesting, it doesn't bar anything. It says any equipment connected to the telecom network of India has to be a trusted equipment from a trusted source. I am the designated authority for what is a trusted equipment and which company is a trusted source, and there is a process behind it. It's not me. About 10 odd ministries are involved. But what I'm trying to say is that, let's say even a mobile phone. Today we are not touching the mobile phones. But in a network, it's all connected to the telecom network of India. The cloud services are connected. And with 5G, you'll have a lot of edge computing coming in. So it is limitless. The control is exercised by the government. So this is one view that I'm trying to present to you, that as we go along in the future, there is going to be a lot of stress on indigenization. That must be made very clear to everyone. And there are issues of supply chain, for which the Americans have a term called friendshoring. So while there is onshore, offshore, there is a concept of friendshoring coming in, where with like-minded democracies and countries that we can trust, again, we can go in for production. So basically that is the government's view. You are aware of the leadership. The Minister of Communications is also ex-IIT. He's leading from the front, and the directions of the Prime Minister, what he said about 2047 is absolutely clear. I just want to highlight the cyber aspect of it, that considering the fact that there is going to be more softwareization in 5G in terms of network function, virtualization, and software-defined networks, everywhere you find software is getting more and more. So the three hard truths of cyber security that we are seeing in the future, number one, is that vulnerabilities will continue to exist because we are depending more on software. And when vulnerabilities continue, then the cyber attacks are going to take place more and more. And now with ChatGPT and all the other tools that are available, you can go to GitHub, you can get a tool to carry out a ransomware attack. You just download it, type run.py, and you can carry out a ransomware attack. And today, individuals are carrying out attacks against governments. There are some attacks which have taken place in places like some countries in Latin America, where we found that it was just a group of activists or a group of individuals which have brought the whole government system down. So vulnerability will continue, attacks will take place, and the attribution of these attacks will be as difficult as what it is today. So if this is what the future is going to be, how do we protect ourselves in the industry? And the answer lies in resilience. We have to expect that attacks will take place, and how do you protect yourself? And the means are very clear. It is people, process, technologies, and cooperation. Cooperation within the nation, cooperation in the international arena. From the people point of view, there has to be education and awareness of your workers, and the skilled forces have to be, the skilled people have to be kept up to date with the latest tools and technologies that are used against cyber attacks. In the processes, you have to have your SOPs, you have to have cyber crisis management plans, the audit processes have to be there, the VAPTs have to be carried out, the cyber capability maturity models, and there are hundreds of them that are available. So the processes have to be put in place and implemented. And finally, of course, are the technologies. And the technologies start from the endpoint, they traverse through all the network elements, they go to the cloud, they go to the applications, and the data at rest, in transit, and in motion. So all these aspects will have to be carried out. And finally, of course, we have, as I said, cooperation. I can just give you one example. In international cooperation, we've formed what is called as an International Counter Ransomware Task Force. And there is a, or rather there was a very famous group called Hive, Hive, which was carrying out these ransomware attacks. And with the help of Interpol and Netherlands and a couple of other countries, we entered the Hive network. And we were sitting there for about 3 months. And whenever he carried out a ransomware attack, we took out the keys from his database because we were sitting inside his system. And we could save about $150 million of ransom money just by doing this process. And after 3 months, of course, we brought him down. So this is the power of international cooperation. And the reason is that today when you put a firewall is dumb. It has to be continuously told that these are the indicators of compromise, these are the URLs you have to be blocked. So where do you get these things from? You get it from these big companies like FireEye, Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Kaspersky, etc. So international cooperation is very important. So these are the thoughts that I thought I'll just leave behind, that the government is very serious on implementing the National Security Directive on Telecom. We had it for Telecom, now the Power Ministry is following it for the other OT sector, the SCADA and the PLC aspects. So the future of cybersecurity will continue to be with the threats which I mentioned because of the vulnerabilities and the increased softwareization. And finally, the resilience is the answer. With that, I must compliment Mr. Pradeep Gupta for having me here. I wish you all a grand evening. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.